Hi and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to talk about my portfolio, the stock market as a whole, and why stimulus checks are not effective. But first we have to talk about what my portfolio did this week. I deposited another $150, meaning my total investment is now $51.50, so I'm down about $100 all time. As we can see here on the week, I am up, slowly gaining and getting back to where I was before. I'm hoping that I can be even by the end of the week. So up 6% on the week. On the month, up almost 12%. 3 months, down 9%. On the year, down less than 2%. And all time now, about the same, only down about 1.8%. So that's great to see. What did I do with that $150? I purchased $50 of Bitcoin at 95.5020. The total there was 0.0052 Bitcoin, and my new total, cumulative total, is 0.1353 Bitcoin, or 13.5% of a Bitcoin. Very happy with that. Next, I purchased 1 share of O, or Realty Income, at 49.23. Now have 6 shares of that. I purchased a share of SPHD, or my one of my ETFs, at 30.52. I now have 17 shares of that, and I purchased 1 more share of Penn National Gaming, or Barstool Sports, at 19.73. I now have 5 shares there. In other news, I'm now up to 98 subscribers, and I need your help. Make sure to click that subscribe button, comment down below what you want to see next, and just let me know how I'm doing. I'm almost at 100 subscribers. Thank you so much. Now, we're going to talk about stimulus checks and why they have not been as effective as people had initially thought. Here we have a Market Watch article titled, "Americans Use Their $1,200 Stimulus Checks to Splurge at Walmart and Target. Here's What They're Buying." Walmart CEO Doug McMillon said, "Call it relief spending." So here we can see, while many Americans have used their stimulus checks to cover basic needs such as groceries, mortgage, or rent, there's evidence people are also spending the money on non-essentials, including electronics, toys, and clothes. Call it relief spending as it was heavily influenced by stimulus dollars, leading to sales increases in categories such as apparel, televisions, video games, sporting goods, and toys. So Walmart's up a little bit. Here we can see both Walmart and Target saw increased consumer demand for discretionary goods in mid-April as the stimulus payments from the $2.2 trillion CARES Act flowed into Americans' bank accounts. Those CEOs said that. Apple saw an uptick in demand for its products across the board, Tim Cook said. At Walmart and Target, shoppers bought more TVs, electronics, gaming equipment, and apparel. Walmart also saw increased demand for adult-sized bikes. The different phases of the pandemic have shaped shoppers' choices. As stay-at-home orders were enacted across the country, parents became teachers. So here we see across businesses, so they say adult bicycles started selling out as parents started joining the kids. An overlapping trend then started emerging related to DIY and home-related activities. Consumers also bought sewing machines and bandanas to make their own face masks. Sales took off in mid-April when many Americans began to receive their stimulus checks. Within 10 days, households spent around 1/4 to 1/3 of it, research shows. Walmart spent nearly $900 million in coronavirus in Q1 and says it's a reasonable assumption that they'll spend that much in Q2. And here they say before checks were issued on April 15th, there wasn't very much demand for discretionary goods, but of course after those checks hit, the demand skyrocketed. Target said they also saw very similar effects there once those checks hit. Customers are still seeing the benefits of the stimulus check. People are shopping across all categories, including apparel, which has been hit especially hard by the coronavirus-driven economic downturn. The problem here is that this discretionary spending, of course, is not going to continue, and it's really not going to spur the economy in the long run. So while they see it as an upside, I think it's really kind of a frustration. The whole point of those stimulus checks is to try to put money back into the economy, and certainly it is good that people are spending that money. However, discretionary goods are not going to be the most effective way to reach the rest of the economy. Unlike Target and Walmart, which have remained open during the coronavirus outbreak and can sell apparel in stores, non-essential clothing stores including Gap, Nordstrom Rack, and Nike have been forced to close many stores. As a result, retailers in the apparel industry have offered online deals. Still, many Americans have used their stimulus checks to stock up on essentials. That's essentially true for those who received their checks in the first wave. In mid-April, when payments were initially distributed, most people immediately spent on groceries, so that is good to hear. Many current members said he also took cash out of ATMs to pay friends back and pay their bills. People were struggling for basic life essentials, and the stimulus payments really helped them, which I think is what it was all about. The next wave of payments, which occurred towards the end of April, more people used the funds for everyday means. That includes ordering more food delivery, takeout, and gas. Here we can see the $3 trillion additional aid package known as the HEROES Act is still up. The Senate says that they do not want to sign this. There's a lot of interesting things in there and money that people think could be appropriated differently, but we will leave that for another video. Let me know if you want to hear more about that. And now we're on to the holdings in my portfolio specifically. So first we have Vanguard Total Stock Market ETF, or VTI. I now have 3 shares of this. Average cost is $149, so I'm up a tiny bit. Of course, I like this one because of the good dividend. On the month, this one's up 8%, very indicative of the market. Over the past year, up 2.8%. Again, very indicative of the market. We can see slow growth, huge drop off, and recovering from that. Over the past 5 years, up 37%. Like I always say, this one really is tracking the total market, so I'm happy with this. And of course, I think it could be a good buy moving forward because the stock market is still down. That being said, I'm not sure that we're going to see a huge recovery anytime soon. I think prices are still inflated quite a bit. Next up, we have Microsoft. Of course, I bought another Microsoft share last week, which is why this is so important to me. Total return is now up $62, which is awesome, or 20%. I bought that last share for about $184, so we're looking about even on that other share. So on the month, up about 7.5%. If we zoom out to the last year, we can see they're still up 45.5%. Of course, I say it time and time again, this has to do with their cloud services. Microsoft Azure is the second largest cloud infrastructure in the world, behind Amazon. So 45% on the year, and over the past 5 years, up 286%. As I always say, I like to stay in the $100 to $150 range because that's how much I'm putting in my portfolio every week. This is slightly over that. That being said, I really like Microsoft. 88% buy rating. Everything I've read is that Microsoft is going to continue doing well in the future, but let me know what you think. Next up, we have Realty Income, or O. I did buy another share of this last week, as I mentioned. Total return is now down $30 on this, or just over 9%. The reason I want to talk about this one this week is that if that HEROES Act does go through, of course, there's more relief for renters, for businesses, which means that some of these REITs and real estate sort of driven funds could recover. I'm not sure what's going to happen there, but it's definitely one to look out for. So we can see down about 2% on the day. On the month, only up 3%. If we zoom out to 3 months, down almost 40%. On the year, down 25%. And over the past 5 years, up 8%. So they have recovered quite a bit from where they were at before. That being said, it's still not doing tremendous. I like the monthly dividend here. And of course, being as young as I am, I'm looking for long-term investments, which is why I really like this position. Next up, we have Walmart, of course, a company that I always talk about purchasing. I really like Walmart because, of course, they're a stalwart no matter what's going on. If the economy is struggling, people will go to Walmart. If the economy is doing well, people still go to Walmart. So total return here is only up $6, or about 5.5%. But of course, this does pay a decent dividend, and this is a more slow growth stock for me. It's a reasonable price right now at about $125, and I'm looking at purchasing another share here for next week. So on the week, we can see not up very much. On the month, down 3.5%. Over the past 3 months, up 6%. Over the last year, we can see up 24%. Not very much of a drop there at all when everything got crazy. And over the past 5 years, up 58%. Let me know what you think about this one, but like I said, I want to increase my position here and definitely continue purchasing Walmart. The last stock we have today is Penn National Gaming. This one's super interesting because casinos are finally starting to open across the country. There's been a lot of different strategies for how these casinos want to open. As you can see here, there's some plexiglass at a casino down in Arizona, but up almost 13% today, and I believe up more than that yesterday, up almost 70% on the week. Total return now up 43%. I always talk about it. I love Barstool Sports. I think Penn National Gaming could be a great stock to buy right now, especially with those casinos starting to open. Price may be slightly inflated because of all the hype. People waited up to 3 hours to play slots at casinos this week. So down 29% on the last 3 months. Over the past year, still up 25%. And over the past 5 years, we can see very large spike there when Penn purchased Barstool, and then the large drop off when those casinos closed, and we're starting to see a recovery. I really like it, this pick. I have 5 shares. As I said last week, I'm looking to be at about 10 to 15 shares by the end of the year. And it wouldn't be one of my videos without Bitcoin. Of course, this is my largest holding now. My equity is now about $1,285. Average cost is slightly above $9,000. As I mentioned earlier in the video, total quantity is now 0.13532426. About 13.5% of Bitcoin makes up just over a quarter of my portfolio. I'm up $55 on this all time. Of course, the halving happened last week. I'm pretty happy with the performance. Some people thought that it was going to skyrocket after the halving, but if we look at historical data, we know that has not actually occurred. The first two halvings, it's going to take quite a bit of time. As I have said previously, I believe it's going to be in December of next year, the peak price. So on the week, only up about 2%. On last month, up 38%. 3 months down about 1%. Up 18% on the year, and 5 years we zoom out, we can see sort of these patterns starting to emerge. And of course, when I'm talking about this last peak in the last Bitcoin cycle, December 15th of 2017, I believe it was actually about December 19th, but here peaked at over $19,000. I'm projecting anywhere from 55,000 to 240,000. I will definitely keep you updated on that if you'd like some more news on Bitcoin. But that's all I've got for this week. Thanks for watching to the end of the video.